crazy. This is crazy. Not just a road trip. A quest for fun.
We're all gonna have so much fun.
You'll be whistling Symphony Doodah out of your...
Who the hell ever says that?
But the story behind the production is as wild as the movie itself.
There was some debate about how far the car should fly.
And that thing took off, man.
I was driving like a maniac.
I ain't getting his face about the death of this dog.
The best delivery of a line I've ever heard.
Explain this, you son of a...
How's the work?
Exhilarating. I was so stunned, I just burst into tears.
How crazy was that story?
Well, everybody does that.
But Daddy says I'm the best at it.
Wait a second, did she just say what they think she just said?
Classy.
With production crises,
It's a logistic nightmare.
We were actually sort of living the movie.
medical emergencies,
And I thought, oh man, I don't want to kill this woman.
and an epic journey into the American heartland.
Hey, by the way, will there be a laugh track?
You know, there's a trick to these maps.
It was just a little trip to America's favorite family fun park. But somewhere along the road to Wally World, it took a detour into uncharted territory, spinning wildly out of control.
Well, up and at 'em. There were so many elements that brought people to that movie because you just don't really know what might happen to these people next.
Don't you kids knock anymore?
It was like taking your family on a trip to places they'd never been.
It was one of those scripts, man, you just read it, you were just laughing out loud.
You didn't have to do a lot of thinking, but you were certainly laughing.
It really is a journey, and by the time you get to the end, you're just very satisfied.
National Lampoon's Vacation. In the summer of 1983, audiences came out to see it, and over nearly 3 decades, they've just kept coming, spawning a franchise of 5 films and counting, pulling in nearly $250 million at the box office.
I look back on Vacation, you know, this is great, triple pleasure of doing it, experiencing its success when it came out, and the fact that people still care about it and enjoy it is amazing to me.
I think it was the right kind of comedy at the right time, and obviously starring a great comedian who won the hearts of everybody who watched it.
Vicky, can I help you with that Kool-Aid? Please?
There are wonderful moments throughout the picture that I'll never forget.
It wasn't exactly high art, more just plain lovable.
There's something special about it. There's something that viscerally you connect with. Yeah, that movie wasn't using special effects or big overacted histrionic scenes to catch your attention.
It was a simple idea, just a family vacation to Wally World.
First, I didn't want to take this vacation. I'm glad I did.
That's my comedy. That's the kind of stuff I like to just throw in.
A cross-country trip with a few wrong turns.
When the family falls asleep in the car, it just cracks me up every time.
There's a scene where Clark is driving along, and all of a sudden he says, "What's that smell?"
Russ, your feet.
I love that scene.
That's so real to me.
She has a foot fetish. I didn't know this.
One of my most favorite scenes was where the dog had been tied to the bumper. And that's not a good thing.
I'm going steady. My French kiss, and she says,
So everybody does that.
and I say, yeah, but Daddy says I'm the best at it.
Wait a second, did she just say what they think she just said?
I definitely understood what it was meant to mean, but maybe not what it truly meant.
It's so funny, but yet so horrific at the same time.
The scene that always stops me is when Teddy loses it. And he uses every obscenity that he can think of.
You're all in the head. We're 10 hours from the fun park and you want to bail out.
It's a quest for fun, and you're going to have fun, and I'm going to have fun. We're all going to have so much fun.
You'll be whistling Symphony Doodah out of your...
Which is so shocking that you know he's just lost his mind.
That's one of the reasons it holds up, because people can relate to that. Now your family just drives you crazy.
But most of all, what drew the audience was the family itself.
People love this film because everyone has their horror story to tell about their family. The dad, he's determined to have this great holiday.
Everybody's had some kind of family experience where one person's trying to deliver, it's not happening.
He tried to plan it all out.
Everything that's supposed to go right goes wrong.
It's always Clark trying to get out of something that he screwed up.
But he means well. He means well.
Like Ahab chasing his whale. Like Don Quixote with his impossible dream. Vacation's father was just trying to track down a little family fun at Wally World.
Clark Griswold is the quintessential father figure who wants to make sure his family has the greatest vacation ever.
A great spirit and what a father will go to give his family a great time.
It's kind of a testament to the craziness of your family. Those are the people that you have to love and you can't avoid, and yet often you want them.
At its core, it's the story of a family that's off course. In more ways than one. They're trying to find their route and reconnect.
Everything rings true because it really wasn't so far away from what was really happening in the American family.
If there's one thing Harold wanted to do, it was portray this as a real story.
The worst situations are just kind of interesting to me.
I stabbed my brain. I just got my period.
I saw it as a romantic comedy. To me, it was always a romance between these two people, with these kids.
No, it's just a love story between Rusty and Beer. It's the only part I remember.
We're gonna have fun. That can was empty, by the way. We layered in that.
What they didn't realize at the time is that they were sketching out a new type of comedy, both hipster edgy and hometown friendly.
Rusty, come on up here.
Russ! Oh, there you are.
Oh, Russ.
I do that all the time.
The original conception was that it was a satire. But what happened was all of America identified with it.
It's kind of a postcard to the American family. Are we there yet? Can we pull over? Can we eat? I gotta pee. Everybody can relate to that.
For a novice director, a first-time screenwriter, and a handful of fledgling actors, National Lampoon's Vacation would be their big break, as great elements led to great chemistry. Chevy Chase at the height of his fame as the dad on a mission.
I'm not your ordinary, everyday fool.
It's like Chevy discovered his inner nerd as Clark Griswold and let that all come out.
Chevy's a great guy to work with. We just kind of instantly fell into a thing.
Beverly D'Angelo as the long-suffering wife and mom.
When things were just going crazy, she kept the family together.
They have a great dynamic. She was a perfect choice to play mom.
She'd already decided on how to behave around Sparky. What's the point in arguing with a madman?
Anthony Michael Hall and Dana Barron as the kids along for the ride.
Immediately, we got into bickering, arguing. We'd be like nudging each other and bugging each other, and we were kids.
Harold and I just turned to each other like that.
Maddie and I looked at each other and said, that's great.
And it just worked, brother and sister. It hit right away.
I had kind of a crush on her then. It was a little, Dana was a little hottie. Can I say that?
Eugene Levy as the fast-talking car dealer.
Eugene's a great improvisational actor.
You think you hate it now?
Well, wait till you drive it. That was a funny scene.
He can do anything, that guy. He's so damn funny.
And then there was the dream girl in the dream car.
There we were with Christy Brinkley.
She was a natural. And she was so cool. She was great.
Our prayers were answered.
And finally, there was that automotive star, that den on wheels. The family truckster.
I think we took a Ford wagon and modified it. They changed the front, they changed the paneling, and we picked that horrible color.
It was the metallic B. And the reason I have one of these is because I sold many since then. So I keep one of these in my pocket.
But as successful as the movie would become, for those who created it, the story behind the filming was as wild as the movie itself.
We had these crazy moments as travelers and as a family and as actors.
It was an approach by masters who were going to make a blockbuster. It was like a garage band, you know?
Everything just gets out of control.
It was 80s. There was a lot of stuff going on.
It was an epic cross-country caravan of 100 people in nearly 24 trucks and trailers over 1,000 miles.
It was like a road movie. We literally just kept going west.
There were 300 feet worth of vehicles. It was like a big traveling circus.
We were like a caravan. We moved 6 times in 7 weeks. It kept everyone so excited because we were always going to a new place.
What made vacation special is that we were all on a vacation together. We were all doing a road trip within a road trip.
As Vacation pushed the boundaries of comedy, from the inappropriate
Did you have a bopper baloney?
to the downright disturbing.
I mean, every time I'd start going, poor little Booch, probably kept up with you for a mile or so. Chevy would just crack up.
I don't know how we could keep a straight face.
And along the way, the cast and crew would battle brutal heat and extreme conditions.
It was like 120 in the shade.
It was tough conditions.
We were in the middle of nowhere, so remote that Indians came to the catering truck.
Crew guys were like falling out and passing out.
Not to mention a crisis on the set, as one actor suffered a medical emergency.
We had ambulances come. We were worried.
It was one of the most surreal experiences that any of us had had on a movie set.
And just when they thought the whole movie was wrapped, a screening bombed with the test audience.
Suddenly all the air went out of the movie.
Last 20 minutes, not a single laugh.
Dead silence.
It was as bad as I feared.
This is Vacation, the inside story.
Dad, I forgot. Why are we flying?
Why are we flying? Because getting there is half the fun. You know that.
It was the early 1980s, the era of Madonna and Reaganomics. National Lampoon had just released a pair of box office flops. Class Reunion barely made back its budget, while Movie Madness went straight to video. The Lampoon was desperate to reclaim the runaway success of Animal House 5 years earlier. They needed a hit, badly.
It was the place you'd go to when you really wanted irreverent, funny stuff. It was starting to fade in popularity.
Founder Matty Simmons was fighting to save the Lampoon when a young writer named John Hughes showed up with a story about a cross-country trip from his childhood. It was called Vacation 58.
John and I had a very close relationship. We worked together for many years before that. And if he wrote a short story, he'd come in and kick it around with me. I loved it.
Simmons thought it would be a great movie, but not everyone agreed.
I remember showing the short story to Jeff Katzenberg, who was the executive vice president of Paramount Studios. He read it and said, no, it's too episodic. I mean, they're going from one place to another. It'll never make a movie.
But Matty wouldn't take no for an answer. They took the articles to an executive with a flair for comedy at Warner Brothers, Mark Canton.
John showed me the article Vacation 58, and I bought the articles for an embarrassing small sum of money. And it's all cool because John went on to make a fortune.
Low money or not, John had sold his story.
We then assigned the writer who wrote that short story to write a script.
And the executives began hunting for a director. Canton thought of young filmmaker Harold Ramis, and even though he had struggled to complete Caddyshack, it had ended up a cult favorite.
Harold Ramis coming off of Caddyshack, he had finally figured out which end of the lens to look through.
I learned to let go of what I couldn't control, take responsibility for what I could control.
Harold Ramis is the easiest human being to work with in the whole world.
He has such a sophistication, and yet he's like the king of the cheap joke. He's one of the smartest guys in the world of comedy.
They thought they were going to make a movie like this. He was the guy to make it.
When the script came in, Ramis was sold.
Matty came to me with John Hughes' script.
I remember us both reading it at the same time. He was in his office and I was in my office. Probably by page 20, we were both giddy with how funny the script was. I don't think I'd had that experience before.
Now the director needed a star, and he knew just the man for the job.
It was very hot at the time, and I was still full of all of that, the fun of being famous.
Harold Ramis, Mark Kent, and I, all three of us said, boy, Chevy would be great for this. It was just never a contest.
Labeled the funniest man in America, Chevy Chase could deliver exactly what the film needed.
Oh, well, they were looking for a good driver.
I directed Chevy in Caddyshack, and we had a very good rapport.
I think Harold was mentally ill. No, I think Harold was charmed by the script. I love Harold, and certainly I love the idea of making this kind of a movie, an epic travel film.
As much as they loved Hughes' script, Ramis felt it needed a different point of view.
John Hughes, as demonstrated by the rest of his career, was really interested in teenagers. His whole focus for the Vacation movie was what is it like to be an adolescent in the back seat when your parents are on this dorky vacation. But I'm interested in what's going on in Clark's mind. Once we hired Chevy, I thought, what kid is going to be more interesting than Chevy?
Ramis wanted to focus on the father, Clark Griswold.
So I kind of pitched that to Chevy, and Chevy and I rewrote the script. We changed a lot of dialogue. I'm not sure how John liked that.
Harold and I had a little office over at Warner Brothers. That's how I got involved. Any further memories, you'll have to dig out of me.
Chase and Ramis sat down to reshape the character of Clark Griswold. It would be a new kind of role for Chevy Chase.
Chevy was about being Mr. Cool. I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. He was handsome, he was elegant, he was above it all.
Harold thought I was a sex symbol, and he's got good taste.
He was the hottest thing going, man. Tall, handsome, very waspy.
All this stereotyping was about being Mr. Cool, about being the Cary Grant of our generation.
Women loved him.
Here he had a chance to play the dorkiest guy ever. It's like Chevy discovered his inner nerd as Clark Griswold and let that all come out. He'd never used that before.
But as Chase and Ramis honed the character of Clark Griswold, they wanted to make this suburban dad more than just a punchline.
Harold gave me the character. I always give him this credit.
He said, I don't have kids. How do you see this thing? We talked about a guy who has 2 weeks off and tries to cram all his parenting into 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, he's going to be the world's greatest dad. The rest of the year, he's like totally not available.
All of that became this character, this energetic optimist who can't wait to get to Wally World. So he's clearly got the IQ of something above a lemur.
So one of the great things about being a father, no matter how little you know, it's always more than they know. The examples I gave Chevy is, you know how a car engine works, kids? And as soon as I said that, he said, I got it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a long time ago, and I can't tell you exactly. I can tell you that I did play Clark, and I could play him again.
With the character of Clark locked down, they knew they had a funny story and a funny leading man. Now all they had to do was cast the rest of the movie.
We went through dozens and dozens of auditions.
We didn't see anyone who we liked. We were kind of in despair.
Can I do your back, honey?
I've already done my back.
Can I do your front?
Go do your own front.
In early 1982, the producers of Vacation had their hands full. Chevy Chase was on board, but they were scrambling to cast everyone else. The first task, Clark's wife, Ellen.
What they wanted was somebody really sweet and pretty and sexy, an all-American mom, but also someone who was kind of hot.
The producers had an idea for the role.
I remember Kim Cattrall coming in. Every time I see Sex in the City, I think, oh yeah, she could have been Ellen Griswold.
But the actress they really wanted was Beverly D'Angelo. She was the right combination of sexy and maternal.
I'd really just started acting, but I'd done a lot in 2 years. Coal miner started the film Pair.
But Beverly wasn't too interested.
Got the script, I didn't even want to read it. It had everything that if you wanted to be a serious actress, you wouldn't do. Dogs, kids, playing a mother of teenagers.